Alright, hello everybody, Friendly Red here, back with more initial impressions. Today, we're taking a look at Nitro Express, which was one of the highlighted games released in this month that I touched on back in my Red's Radar video for May. I've had a good amount of time to try the game out, and after what I've experienced so far, I'm a bit sad to report that it's a bit of a mixed bag currently. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself though, and we'll go into more detail and explanation in a bit. For now though, let's end the setup and get into the discussion proper. These are my initial impressions of Nitro Express. Nitro Express seemingly has done a good job of staying under the radar of many, myself included, as I did not know of the game's existence until making my Red's Radar for May of 2025. So it's best to start with what exactly the game is before delving into the details of why I feel the way I do about it right now. Nitro Express is a 2D, side-scrolling action game, combining elements of platformers and shoot-'em-ups, or shmups, as you'll hear me refer to them throughout the rest of this video, to make for a very unique take and blend on the genre. In the game, you'll go through numerous stages, divided up between main story missions and optional side missions, equipping a variety of different unlockable weapons and gadgets before heading into the stage proper. Once you're in a stage, you'll traverse the level on foot, blasting through any mechanical adversaries that may stand in your way via a mix of run-and-gun action combined with slower, more tactical movement and techniques, should the situation call for it. Now, I'm personally not too knowledgeable and interested in shmups myself, if I'm being honest. I've played a few of the more notable or heavy-hitter releases of the genre, with games like Ikaruga and Geometry Wars, more classic examples like Galaga, but the genre has never really had a firm grasp on me, or a lot of staying power within my game playing history. Don't take that as I dislike the games or genre, not at all. I've just never been super compelled to go out of my way to look into and play lots of them. I do, however, enjoy many different aspects of those kinds of games, and there are certainly some games that have shmup-like elements that I've really liked in the past. Off the top of my head, titles like the Star Fox games and Kid Icarus Uprising I feel borrow some ideas from the shmup genre, and to great effect, marrying them with their own unique identities and gameplay. Tangent aside, let's get back to Nitro Express in particular. The game being 2D is fairly common among shmups, but most of the ones I can think of are usually played from a top-down viewpoint, having the player assume the control of some sort of ship, mech, or some other mechanical vehicle or control unit, capable of free movement within the screen space or playing field of the given level. This is where Nitro Express changes things up a bit, as you instead control an on-the-field agent in the game, known as Yoko Asahina, and with this being a side-scroller, you instead are limited to moving forward, backwards, and occasionally up and down, provided there are level elements and platforms that you can jump to or climb down from. There's still some element of free movement in the game, however, in the form of the aiming of your weapons, as you do have full 360-degree free aim available to you. Additionally, I mentioned earlier that there is some slower and more tactical elements to the gameplay here as well, as Yoko can assume a crouch position, allowing for greater accuracy with your equipped weapon, which in turn leads to more damage, and allowing you to combat roll left or right to avoid any close-up attacks or projectiles heading your way. All of this isn't exactly new, as we've seen older games tackle the shmup genre in a similar manner, with games like Gunstar Heroes and the Metal Slug titles, but Nitro Express really stands out because of this, not only due to it embracing a more, we'll say, uncommon approach to shmup games, but also due to its presentation. The art, setting, music, and overall style of the game is all done incredibly well, with highly detailed pixel art making up all of the different characters, enemies, environments, and weapons, with suitably catchy and energetic music to go alongside the action. The sound effects for the numerous weapons and gadgets are great too. And yeah, again, this isn't exactly exclusive to Nitro Express either. Plenty of 2D games, be them shmups or otherwise, all share in these aspects. Heck, those previous two series I mentioned, Gunstar Heroes and Metal Slug, are great examples of this. I suppose what I love about Nitro Express comes down to more of a personal preference. I love me some anime-inspired artwork, and Nitro Express in particular seems to take a lot of visual design cues from the works of Studio Trigger, who are easily one of my favorite animation studios. They consistently produce super over-the-top and bombastic animation, usually filled with tons of action, great music, and a very distinct style to their world, art, and especially characters that I feel is captured really well here in Nitro Express. I'm not 100% sure if that's what the developers at Greyfax Software were going for, but it seems like Studio Trigger and their works was a big inspiration behind why this game looks the way it does. Regardless of that being the case or not, I really do quite enjoy how this game looks and sounds, and the presentation is certainly a section of the game that gets no complaints from me. With that being said though, on the topic of complaints, I do have some to go over here. Firstly, the technical performance of the game is certainly worth mentioning, as it is locked to only 30 FPS. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like a game cannot be enjoyed or isn't fun simply due to a low frame rate lock, but I also cannot deny that locking your 2D, action-oriented side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that's currently only on PC, a platform known for higher performance profiles, to just 30 FPS in the year of our Lord 2025 is ideal. to say the least. I don't have any actual data or stats to back up this claim either, but I think another problem with the low frame rate lock is that it doesn't really feel very good. Not only is it somewhat unsteady, as I have seen the frame rate drop below the target 30 FPS at times, it just doesn't feel like it is a properly paced or implemented frame rate lock. Make no mistake, 60 FPS or above would greatly improve this game in so many ways, and I certainly hope that it's something the developers have in mind, as this is no doubt the most widespread and common issue I see brought up with the game in reviews. This leads into another complaint I have though, which is with how the game actually controls. Now, honestly, I feel as though these issues I'm about to go over would most likely be retroactively solved if the performance of the game was boosted to 60 FPS or higher, but I still feel they're worth mentioning, as if you're going to play the game right now, you need to know what to expect. Simply put, the controls in Nitro Express feel off to me in some way, though it's somewhat hard to articulate as to how or why I feel that. Again, it could just be down to the low frame rate and performance, as it's something that I'm just not very used to when playing games, but be it controlling the game with sticks and buttons on a Steam Deck, or with mouse and keyboard on my PC proper, I never really feel 100% in control of my actions when playing this game. General movement and performing certain actions sometimes seem laggy or disjointed, like my inputs are taking a second or two longer than I feel they should before I see them reflected in game. Additionally, aiming, be it with sticks on controller or with a mouse on PC, feels pretty sluggish. I feel like even after adjusting some sensitivity settings for the sticks, controller aiming still feels too slow. Also, why does pushing up on the left stick cause my character to jump? Tap to jump is easily one of the worst features to plague any 2D game that has it, and I hate that it's not only a default setting when playing this game on a controller, but that there's seemingly no way to disable it, especially considering, there is a separate dedicated jump button you could just use instead. I found much more success and comfort playing the game on my actual PC with mouse and keyboard controls, but even then, I still wouldn't exactly call it ideal. I'm much more precise and in control of my shots with a mouse, but I don't know, it still doesn't feel smooth or great to move a mouse around on a 2D 30 FPS plane. And I mean, I get it. This isn't exactly supposed to be a twitchy, super fast shooter or anything, but at the same time, I feel like smooth and responsive movement and aiming, alongside stable and fast performance, is almost a requirement of games like this, similar to racing games or fighting games. Being able to quickly adjust all the different enemies and projectiles you face is key to keeping your health up, which of course is vital for you not only passing the mission, but passing it with a high payout, as your pay is reduced based on the medical expenses you incur should you take a lot of damage. Ultimately, this is an action game, and action games tend to feel, look, and control so much better when those frame rates are higher, and so I really hope that this is the #1 priority for the developer right now. So that's where we are at with Nitro Express. It's a great game, no doubt, with wonderfully executed presentation and gameplay ideas, and a very low price point too. While it's seemingly a rather short game, you could for sure get lots of replay value out of it when taking into account all the different weapons and gadgets to unlock and level individually. Taken on their own, all of those elements should make for an easy recommendation, and really, a no-brainer for any fan of action games. But as it stands, with it being less than ideal to control, and feeling somewhat sluggish and unresponsive due to the low, seemingly improperly implemented 30 FPS frame rate cap, I would advise against playing this one, at least for the foreseeable future. I'll for sure be keeping an eye out for any updates or developments from the developer, and if the game improves substantially over time with updates and patches, especially with regards to boosting the performance, then I could have an easier time recommending it, and playing it further. For now though, I think this is one I'll be shelving until that happens, as I would really like to enjoy the rest of what this game has on offer once it lives up to its full potential, which sadly, I don't think it has yet. But I truly and sincerely hope that it will sometime in the near future. But, with all that being said, I think that'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, I thank you for watching. Your continued viewership and support is greatly appreciated. Hope I was able to entertain, inform, and perhaps interest you in checking out Nitro Express at some point for yourself. Given the current issues with the game though, in addition to it only being available on PC, we can only hope that more time will be kind to it, allowing it to not only become a better game and reach its full potential, but perhaps end up on more platforms too. And last, but certainly not least, as always, I'll see you next time.